Your Frontier opening bell is getting started this way here on the road this morning as we see the final trading day of July in place, and that takes us effectively to the first end of the first month of the third quarter. Quite a whole lot happening across the continent. But let's give you a very quick summary of where the market finished off on Friday. It was the last Friday of the month, by the way. So the Nigerian market saw 3 sessions in the red, managed to finish the week a bit in the grey territory, but that's the Friday figure you're looking at, down at 65,056 on the all-share index. A number of companies reporting earnings for the second quarter and first half of the year in Nigeria are reporting net losses on the back of the current Naira devaluation and the removal of full subsidies. Billions and billions of Naira are being reported by companies from Nestle to Cadbury to Unilever to Nigerian breweries, Guinness Nigeria, including Dangote Cement. All manufacturing companies in Nigeria are hurting right now, no thanks to the current economic reforms of the new administration. But some are making some gains as well. When you look at the petroleum retailers such as Total Energies, get into a bit of that later in the show. So investors will be pricing a whole lot more earnings into the box this week, in particular from the banks as well, who are expected to make some decent gains from the FX revaluation of their portfolio. EcoBank reported late last week. So the BRVM up by 0.58% to 0795. The Egyptian market started the week on Sunday in Cairo by 1.24% in the green territory. The Nairobi stock market fell sharply 1.19% Friday, while the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the JSE, was holding the 78,000 level by 0.31%. Those are just a summary of your markets for the last trading day of July. Today is last Friday, by the way. Today is the last trading day. So let's see how the market will move on this day. But if you look at the East African corridor, quite a couple of earnings, by the way, and corporate news with Safaricom shareholders approving plans by the telco giants to go into startups investing. That's a new horizon for Safaricom, because we've seen a bit of a pullback in terms of private equity investment in startups in Kenya. Now the behemoths known as Safaricom wants to step into that space and provide some equity funding to startups in Kenya. That'll be a good helping hand, but let's see how it all goes as Safaricom ventures into a completely new area of doing business out of telecommunications, M-Pesa and the rest of them. Kenya and Uganda inflation data are on tap for today for the month of July. We'll see the numbers when they come in. And the Central Bank of Kenya has said there's no one who can use cash or check payments to buy government bonds or treasury bills. That's the latest from the CBK. And the DR Congo is requiring all payments for taxes and duties, custom duties and all of that to be paid in the Congolese franc. That's the local currency moving forward, and no foreign currency or any other currency will be allowed to be used to pay for those government services in DRC. The East African community is creating a regional board to ease electricity sales between the various countries in the East African community. And good news for Uganda as MTN launched its 5G services, and that's some upside there to Uganda. So the Nigerian new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has appointed a former Financial Reporting Council CEO Jim Obaze to probe the activities of the Central Bank of Nigeria and other unnamed government entities. And that was news that came over the weekend as we started the new week. Jim Obaze himself was suspended from office a couple of years ago over allegations that there were malpractices that were involved in the accounts of the Financial Reporting Council. No case has been brought against him and nothing has been proved in a court of law up until now. Jim Obaze is known as that relentless officer or CEO of the Financial Reporting Council years ago when he went against institutions such as the NNPC and the Central Bank in terms of their accounting. And he also said what you call financial reporting standards for public companies, but that was a shutdown under the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. But let's see how Jim Obaze will proceed, because there were no clear terms of reference, as it were, in the letter that is available. We hope that will come through anytime soon. The Economic Intelligence Unit, that's the EIU, says it sees Nigeria's return to a managed FX float because, according to the research firm of the Economist magazine, says Nigeria's central bank lacked the capacity or the skill to manage what are called a unified exchange rate system, and that also came in over the weekend. And the big manufacturing firms that I just said earlier are hurting from recent reforms of the government. Losses have been reported. Airtel Africa reported $170 million. Dangote Cement is reporting millions, hundreds of millions in FX losses, as well as Nestle, Nigeria's a giant in terms of a food business, as well as the largest brewer, the Nigerian Breweries PLC. All of that in the news. In the meantime, the banks are the ones smiling. We're expecting more banks to report in the current week as we step into the month of July. We're expecting Ghana's midterm budget to be released later today. We're expecting to hear from the finance minister on that, Ken Ofori-Atta. And the S&P has assigned the AA to EFDB's first hybrid capital issuance. And that's congratulations to Dr. Adesina and the rest of his team at the AFDB group. Let's touch on Southern Africa. Of course, look at the South Africa's trade balance report for the month of June. We're expecting that on tap today. That should come a bit later in the day. But the country's money supply data is also expected. The Reserve Bank under Leseja Kagyango is projecting a 2% annual growth without power cuts. That's according to the SARB governor at the annual general meeting of the SARB on Friday. And ArcelorMittal, that mining giant, posting a half-year loss on power cuts in South Africa, high inflation environment, as well as weak demand. And Steinhoff shareholders have finally approved the vote to dissolve the companies and delist from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And congratulations to Angelo Schwartz, who is becoming the new CEO and executive director on the board of SPAR in South Africa, but that will be effective 1st of October. So let's finish it up in North Africa, where Egypt is getting $616 million loan from the Arab Monetary Fund, while Libya's oil production is seen higher to about 1.2 million barrels per day. And Britain's SDX Energy is looking to raise Morocco's gas production with additional $3.25 million investments. And finally, Vantage Capital, which is a mezzanine fund manager in South Africa, has finalized its entry into Morocco, investing about 30 million euros in Morocco's Promamec. That's a cross-border investment that is boosting intra-Africa trade. And those are your headlines this Monday, the 31st of July. Have a great day, everyone.